So the last few days have been a roller coaster. My written testimony was due Monday at 2 p.m. Central. I didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare it, and the last couple weeks have been really, really crazy busy with work. So I actually did not start writing my testimony until Sunday morning. I had drafted some ideas. I'd been doing a lot of thinking about what I was going to write about, but I hadn't actually started typing out what I was gonna say. And and I finally, I was under the gun. I had to get it done. Had to get it done. And so that was the bulk of my Sunday. And I finished it at 1:30 in the morning. And I sent it off to a couple of people I really trust and admire to take a look and give me their feedback. And And they got back to me, early Monday morning, and they were very complimentary on what I had written, made a couple of minor suggestions that made it better. So I appreciated that feedback. Found a couple of typos because I literally had not proofread it. I wrote it and hit send. So and which I had warned them. I said, "There will be typos, so if you catch them, great. I will do another proofread." But I didn't have time to do that yet. So I submitted the written testimony on Monday afternoon, and then you have 5 minutes to do an opening statement. And so then I had to write that. And And I had to think about, okay, what exactly out of my 20-page written statement, what do I want to highlight? What do I want to make sure gets read into the record, not just written into the record? What are the things that could be most impactful that I could talk about? And so I started thinking that through and worked on that. But Monday afternoon after I got it submitted, I had some stuff I had to do. Tuesday was really crazy, and then I was flying out on Wednesday. So I really needed to have it done by Tuesday night so that I could print it to take it with me. And so I was very matter of fact about what I wrote. And a good friend of mine, uh, who we communicate via Slack a lot, she's another fellow business owner. And she, kept bugging me during the day. "How's it going? Let's get on a video call and you're gonna do it for me." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I did it. And she is not an accountant. She's nowhere in the tax field, nothing. And she said, "It didn't grab me. You need to change it. And you need to give examples." And so I rewrote about 50% of that statement and changed it. And we got back online, did it again, and she said, "You nailed it. You've got it." So then it was like, okay, but the hard part is you've got to be the 5 minutes. And I was a little bit over, a little bit over, a little bit over. So I had to go in and like tweak and take a couple words out here and there, take a sentence out, shorten this up, get it a little bit more succinct because I wanted to get it to where I wasn't, like a couple of the times I practiced, it was like 4 minutes, 59.67 seconds. That was the first time I got it under 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, that's way too close to be the timing. And so I got it down to, I think, 4:56 when I practiced it a few times in a row. And I was like, okay, this is what it's going to be. And then I printed it out and then got all my other information together and, was ready to go. And then I also had the written testimony for my co-panelist, Craig Johnson, from Streamline Sales Tax, and Joe Bishop Henchman. And so they had each sent their testimony. So I wanted to read that to make sure I knew what they were going to talk about. And then I practiced and practiced and practiced my statement. And I was pretty consistently at like the 4:57 mark, so I was feeling pretty good about it. And then it was time to go. We got there an hour before the hearing. So we got into the building at about 2. Security took a little while, elevator time took a while. So all of that, I was just trying to stay calm and collected. Um, got there and was able to go into the hearing room to just kind of get the feel for it, with nobody else in there, which I think helped center me a little bit. And then Craig got there, and then we were chit-chatting, and then all of a sudden it was time to go in, and it's surreal. They have your nameplate, or name card. It wasn't a plate. Um, the cool thing, a souvenir I brought home last time, and I brought one home, little water bottles that are Senate water bottles, so that was kinda cool to have. Um, and then what's the little unnerving part that probably any of you that watched it don't realize is there are 2 photographers sitting on the floor in front of us taking pictures, like, throughout our testimony. So I tried to kind of block them out when I was talking. I was definitely watching them as my co-panelists were being questioned and when they were doing their opening statements. And, so it's just you're sitting there and there's a clock on the front of your microphone stand that counts down from 5 minutes. And you have to push the button when you're to turn your microphone on. So at least your microphone isn't on the whole time, but you have to remember to do that. And it's an experience. It is, this time it was nice because it was open to the public. When I did it in 2022, it was not open to the public. And then, the staff came in, and then the, Senator Grassley from Iowa and Senator Hassan from New Hampshire came in. And, Senator Hassan very, very nicely came and introduced herself to each of us and thanked us for being there, which I thought was very, very nice. And then it starts with she is the chairwoman of the subcommittee. So she opens the meeting with a gavel. So it's all very official and makes her opening statement. Senator Grassley then had time to make his opening statement. And then the 3 panelists, they do it in alphabetical order. So I'm always last or almost always last. So we each had our 5 minutes. I did go over more than I wanted to. I think when I looked down, I was at 14 seconds over. But they didn't cut me off. But I did have the red light staring at me. Then each of the senators get 5 minutes to ask questions. And those questions are also our answers are part of that 5 minutes. So you have to be quick and succinct. So they didn't get in all the questions. There were a couple of substantial votes that were going on. So Senator Grassley left once he was done with his questions. Senator Wyden, who is the 3rd member of the subcommittee, he did come in and only ask, I think, one question, if I remember right. And so then all of a sudden it was over. And we all took a big sigh of relief. I think it went really well. I think all 3 of the senators are interested in finding a solution and interested in doing something. Senator Grassley from Iowa. Iowa is a streamlined state, so they are already, have taken the steps. Senator Hassan and Senator Wyden are from states without a sales tax, so that is their interest in this because their constituents are having to collect tax in other states. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But then because the Senate was in session, Senator Hassan's office arranged for us to have gallery passes, and we were able to go and see some business being conducted in the Senate, which was just a very cool thing. Something I've never done at the federal level or at the local level. I've never seen uh, official business occurring. So that was kind of fun. We got to see Bernie Sanders make a speech. We got to ride the little train under the Capitol in the tunnels. Got a little lost in the tunnels, even with a guide. And so it was it was just a great end cap to a fabulous day. After, we had a little bit of fun, we came back, Craig and I, and, they had some follow-up questions. Both Craig and I are, ready and willing to help in, whatever, the senators are interested in doing. So I think we'll be able to continue the conversation, and we'll see what happens. But, it's definitely an honor. There's been federal bills pending for sales tax simplification. I remember the first bill that I really heard about was in 1988, and, nothing has happened. Um, and so to be able to be involved in what's going on, in what I've spent my life's work doing is just can be overwhelming.